and welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. You already see it today. We're talking free agency, and for it only starting today, we have seen a lot. There's a lot to cover. I'm sure there's going to be people we're going to miss just because it's been so loaded the last couple of days. But we should cover the majority of fantasy impact here. Steven, got anything for the people?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. This free agency has been nuts. Probably the biggest one I've seen in recent memory. I think it's good for the league. I really do. I think it's like a hard reset on the league in certain aspects. I think it's really good for the league. We got some fantasy dynamite that's coming our way that moves we really like. Just want to point out that there's really not a whole lot of movement from the tight end or wide receiver position. So we can just
quarterbacks, a lot of running backs.
Yeah, so we can talk about this. Let's just say this: we know Evans stays in Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield locks into Tampa Bay, so obviously we don't have to worry about that. We've seen top 10 production from Mike Evans.
We already know that. Yeah,
we already know about that. We already know about heavy volume, heavy usage, heavy touchdown volume, things like that. Mike Evans, 10 straight years of 1,000 yards. Excuse me, lost my wording there for a minute. 10 straight years of 1,000 yards. I'm personally not betting against the man to not hit 11. So Mike Evans, locked in wide receiver 1, keep it pushing. Michael Pittman stays in Indianapolis, locked in 3 years.
Yep.
T. Higgins, franchise tagged. Could be dealt.
Could be dealt. We just saw Diontae Johnson go to the Panthers as well in a trade. So
I do like that. I do like that trade for Diontae. Obviously, going to see a high volume of targets. Comes in already the wide receiver 1, one of the worst wide receiver units in the NFL. No doubt about that.
They're also one of the worst.
Who?
The Panthers. They don't.
That's what I said. I said they're one of the worst wide receiver units in the NFL.
Oh, okay.
He comes in day 1 as the Panthers wide receiver 1. Elite route runner, separator, probably the best on the roster for that aspect. And yeah, should see heavy volume. Don't know what kind of volume, but it's going to be heavy volume.
I don't know, man. That doesn't move the needle for me. I think he stays about the same than what he's at with Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. I mean, Bryce Young, what are you really?
This move is more beneficial to Bryce Young.
For sure. He's the number one beneficiary. For fantasy volume, fantasy speaking only here. I don't want to own him any more than I did yesterday.
We're still waiting on Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley.
We saw Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis.
Yeah, Gabe Davis to the Jags. I heard Calvin Ridley's either Patriots or back to the Jags is the two number one suitors for him. We'll see what happens there.
You got to pay a second-round pick for the compensation for Calvin Ridley if you're the Jags. I'm not paying a second-round pick for Calvin Ridley.
I'm just
$20 million. I'm good.
I'm just telling you what I heard.
Anyway, but so if Calvin Ridley comes back per se, let's just say this: Gabe Davis, an upgrade over Zay Jones. Yay.
No.
Yay.
No.
Yay. Gabe Davis, upgrade over Zay Jones. We're never going to see the top 20.
What has Gabe Davis ever done than maybe have 3 good games a year? What with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that has Trevor Lawrence, who's been somewhat of a disappointment.
Plays to his strengths. I think you can mask Gabe Davis in certain aspects. He's a best ball monster. Let's be honest.
Yeah, best ball monster, sure, for 4 weeks out of the season.
Well, I'm just saying he's an upgrade over Zay Jones as a wide receiver 3. So we'll see how it plays out. But I don't mind the Gabe Davis one. But let's get into the bread and butter tonight. Let's start it off. Let's start it off with Kirk Chains, baby.
I mean, can you start it any other way? I mean, obviously, probably the number one biggest impact as far as fantasy goes is 100% Kirk Cousins. One, leaving Minnesota, which is huge for that. We'll get to that in a second. But him joining the Falcons, I mean, I think you've seen an immediate upgrade for Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Maybe actually get to see the volume that they were drafted for and the spots they were taken in. I expect both of them to make huge leaps as far as wide receiver and tight end rankings this season coming into it. Yay, nay, Drake London top 15 season.
Yay.
I think I'm there with you. I
Ask
think
me the Kyle Pitts question.
Kyle Pitts top 5.
Yay.
It's different with tight ends. I can't say top 15 tight ends because that's obvious.
Yeah,
Obviously,
if you say I'm gonna go yay off of just my sole desire for that to happen because I've been buying Kyle Pitts everywhere, but top 7 for sure, absolutely.
sure.
When we're pushing
You
top
can't.
5,
I mean, maybe top 10 locked in. I would imagine top 15 for sure.
when you're talking about top 5 tight ends, though, you're automatically penciling in, barring injury or
Yeah,
anything,
we
you're
got
already
what
penciling in
Laporta,
Laporta,
McBride, Andrews,
Kelsey,
Kittle.
Hawkinson's ACL tear really, really hurts. So, but
Yeah,
I
you probably won't
see.
see it for like week 5.
No, you probably go. I mean, let's say 100% Hawk. You won't see him until week 8, week 9. So, Kincaid, also another one. But anyway, let's keep it pushing. Yeah, Kyle Pitts monster season coming.
Yeah,
I want to talk about this will probably be Kirk Cousins. He did have Trent Williams. That's tough to say. Let's say one of the best offensive line units he's played with, because in Minnesota they have not been very good. They're about average to below average, but this offensive line unit is solid. Very solid offensive line unit there in Atlanta. Huge. You're coming off an Achilles tear. You need protection. You need to be protected up front. Bijan Robinson, a very capable pass blocking running back. Love that for them. On top of this, can we talk about it? No Arthur Smith.
Of course. We've covered this plenty of times. We're Arthur Smith's number 1 haters in this podcast, but yeah, no, I mean, can't wait for it. I mean, you could have replaced him with a monkey, and I would be happier, to be honest with you. So, yeah, give me Drake London, give me Kyle Pitts. I'm buying both at the right price. I'm not going to overpay by any means. I'll never overpay for anybody, but go get yourself some Drake London. Go get yourself some Kyle Pitts. It's really exciting, and I mean, you're not going to get Bijan.
I got Bijan.
I mean, in a trade. No one's going to trade you Bijan right now.
But yeah, Kirk Cousins, we know consistently just a solid QB to elite fantasy quarterback. Very solid numbers. 8 straight years of 3,500 plus passing yards and 25 plus touchdown passes. He's the molded consistency. He was great in Minnesota. I think the fantasy impact you have to start asking your question now is with the move to Minnesota. Is the question's finally going to be answered? Is JJ QB proof? Is he QB proof?
I mean, he had 30 plus points twice with Nick Mullins in 5 games. So,
right. But is it sustainable over a 17 game slate?
I mean, you might not see the consistent week in, week out 20, 30 points, but I mean, obviously, he's still JJ. He's still going to see production.
Yeah, right. And that's the biggest question I have for you. What does this do for the fantasy impact of a young developing Jordan Addison? This is a receiver.
I mean, that certainly hurts.
Very
I think
early in his career. Right, very early in his career. Solid numbers his rookie season. We talked heavily about Jordan Addison on the podcast. How does he develop as a wide receiver 2 behind JJ? Hawkinson's on an ACL tear, so you already lose a weapon early. And with no QB plan in place, is JJ locked into Minnesota long term?
Well, one, I mean, huge loss for Addison, and dare I say even Hawk. I mean, I think JJ is pretty proof. Like he'll be the one there, no doubt. But I mean, you're talking about Kirk Cousins in 2022. He missed a majority of this season, but there were 39.6 attempts per game in 2022. You can see a significant dip for the Minnesota receivers for that. Huge. I think Addison was very productive last season because of the volume he was allowed to have alongside JJ because they threw the ball so much. Right now, QB1 is Sam Darnold. I would imagine they try to draft somebody, maybe bring in JJ. But yeah, does JJ leave? I think is the bigger question here.
Right.
I think it's very possible. I'm not gonna. I think he is locked in this year in Minnesota, no doubt. But in 2024 or 2025 offseason, who knows?
Last question for you.
Or where are you at with the JJ? You think he stays or do you think he goes?
I can't answer that question, but it's hard for me to have a wide receiver of his elite talent not have a QB plan in place. Although, I mean, we saw Hopkins produce for 5 years until Deshaun 6 years, 5 years, until Deshaun Watson came in the league over in Houston. He was technically QB proof. I don't know, man. It just depends on what JJ desires, man. I mean, the question is going to be answered. Is it winning and getting the bag somewhere else, or is it loyalty to the city of Minnesota? Because Minnesota is going to pay him. He's already on. He's probably pretty close to the Mount Rushmore of Minnesota Vikings football players. I mean, outside of AP, Chris Carter, and Randy Moss, it gets pretty close on the offensive side of the ball for JJ. JJ's done miraculous things. So those questions will be answered in due time.
I will say, report came out, he denied a $30 million plus year contract from the Vikings.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's already your first sign of him maybe. I mean, I get the bag, but $30 million, if it's about the loyalty, you think it'd be around that area.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Amon-Ra is going to reset the wide receiver market this season, and then JJ is going to do it next year, and then Chase is going to sign the same. You know, I mean, it always resets. It always keeps.
Yeah.
Right. Next big move, my favorite move. Unfortunately, he comes to play in the AFC North. Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think I have to explain this. We're talking about the number one rushing attack in the league, over 155 yards per game. We're talking about 31.5 rushing attempts per game. We're talking about the number 4 total offense and points per game at 28.4. You had Gus Edwards fill in masterfully last season. If you had Gus Edwards as a waiver wire pickup, congratulations. You probably played in the semifinals or championships of your fucking fantasy football leagues. Great. This move, they also like Keaton Mitchell. So this move definitely gives him time to get his shit right, to get healthy. And then you add the best running back we've probably seen in the last 5 years.
And Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, how do you not get excited about it? And the good thing about, well, let me pose this. We have to remember Derrick Henry is 30 here. He's 30 years old. End of the season, he'll be 30. Call what you want, 30 and a half. Holy shit, that's a huge bug over there. Sorry. Yeah, and he's 30 years old. You saw a little bit of delay at the goal line already last season. He's still going to eat there. He's going to get a majority of the red zone touchdowns for the Ravens. I still think he can get 10 plus every season until he retires, to be honest with you. He's just that big. But I think I get he's in the number one rush offense, but I think his 1,500 yard seasons are probably out the door here. And that's not a knock. It's just what it is. And then the other thing, I guess my question to you is, you're a huge Mark Andrews guy who's very much a prototypical red zone tight end. Do you think that Mark Andrews sees a little bit of a hit this season because of Derrick Henry coming in?
No. Remember this. They're averaging over 31.5 rushing attempts, but Lamar is also dropping back and throwing the ball over 28 times a game. I think Zay Flowers, when he came in, really took a significant step, up, and he developed a role with this offense. Odell is going to be cut as of tomorrow. They have a huge clause in his contract where he has to be cut. Mark Andrews, obviously the 1A in the receiving game, 1B being Zay Flowers. Over the last 5 years, Mark Andrews averages over 7 targets per game. I'm not worried about it. Lamar's actually increased his passing volume. Really has.
Yeah.
28 drop or 28 passing attempts for Lamar. It doesn't hurt me at all.
So I think we can knock it. Excuse me. Go ahead and just lock Derrick Henry into probably a top 10 season this year. Well, for the next 2, I would imagine.
Sure. Health barring.
Health bearing. Yeah. Always. But stays healthy, stays on the course. He's well over the 1,500 touch rule for me, but he's proven year in, year out that doesn't matter.
This is a championship or bust move right here. I acquired Derrick Henry in 2 leagues, and I'm fucking ecstatic.
Yeah. Big if you're contending, but at this point, I guess in desperation situations, if you're a rebuilding team, now would be a good time to sell them. But
yeah, this is the time.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're doing a full reset and you're in rebuild right now and you still have Derrick Henry, get to it, buddy. Get to it. Go get what you can. Especially now, we're in rookie hype right now. Lost in free agency hype. Now's a good time to go maybe get a first rounder for Derrick Henry for the first time in 2-3 years off the hype of him going to the Ravens. Now, is it feasible? Maybe not exactly, but some people don't really value those back end firsts, early seconds, like they should. So do what you want with that information. Yeah. I've seen some dirty trades out there already.
I'm gonna bring up the next guy. Your boy Tiki Barber feels some serious type of way. He said, "Saquon, you are dead to us." He is in Kelly Green's. Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle. Sorry to say this, but this is actually my second favorite running back move of the free agency market, as you can tell. DeAndre Swift, a 5'10", 205 running back. Obviously filled in very well. We're talking about over 1,000 rushing yards. We're talking about a solid year. We're talking about a running back 2 season. Now you get to bring in Saquon Barkley. Whole nother dynamic as a running back. Saquon is a different beast. To pair it with this Eagles team, again, we know the peripherals. The Eagles were top 10 in the league in rushing yards, almost over 130 per game, 7 in points per game as a team. 7th in rushing attempts and almost at 29.2. I expect Saquon to get fed a lot in this offense.
This is your second favorite. This is my favorite. I mean, as a Giants fan, it hurts. Don't get me wrong, but this is, as far as fantasy goes, undoubtedly the best signing. Probably one of the better places for Saquon to land. We just talked about Derrick Henry and like he goes to the first offense, but the Eagles also run the ball on top, and on top of that, Saquon has receiving ability. So I think you put that into perspective. I think it's easily the best signing for the running backs this offseason. If he stays healthy, bearing that, I'm a Giants fan. Trust me, I know. He's injury prone, but if he's out there in this Eagles offense, it's going to be real dirty to watch.
How many touchdowns get vultured from Saquon Barkley, though, in this offense with the way the Eagles operate in the red zone?
I mean, you can say that, but, like, how many touchdowns were vultured from Saquon Barkley with the Giants because we were just bad?
Right. I mean, I get it. This is the best offense he'll ever play with.
So, I mean.
But at the same time, it's going to be it was so frustrating. You as a DeAndre Swift owner in your league, how many touchdowns got vultured from him week in and week out just due to how the Eagles operate in the red zone?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see like 1,000 yards for Swift, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty solid for Swift. That's career high by 300-400 yards." And then you look at it like, "Oh, he got 4 touchdowns last season?"
Right. Also, Jalen Hurts one of the lowest check down percentages in the league. So we talked about Saquon Barkley's receiving upside. DeAndre Swift had it too. DeAndre Swift was a check down monster. He was a receiving monster. So I have them pretty neck and neck when it comes to the receiving upside. When it comes to getting the ball in the checkdowns, they're both monsters. I don't know how much that plays into Barkley's game with the Eagles, knowing that Jalen Hurts is one of the lowest checkdown percentage QBs in the league. Again, draft Barkley as a top 10 running back, no problem.
Yeah. It kind of segues nicely. We just touched on it. Might as well go through with the player. DeAndre Swift goes to the Bears. You're probably gonna see a lot more checkdowns here in Chicago, whether it be Justin Fields or Caleb Williams, however which way it goes. So they're going to have one or the other. They have this around the same rushing attempts per game, so no real change there. I think it just nets him the opportunity to get back into that receiving game. Hurst didn't do it because he's mobile. And I get that Justin Fields is mobile too. He hasn't checked down a lot either, but I think the opportunity opens up for that receiving more so with the Eagles. I feel like in some games, they were actively avoiding throwing the ball to Swift, which is pretty funny to watch. Just him wide open on the side, just waiting, and they just don't get to him. But nonetheless, Swift, do you think anything changes? I think as far as like fantasy perspective, he kind of stays in the same range he's already in.
The Bears are more of a slower paced team, very good at running the ball. They're number 2 in the league. They're over 140 rushing yards a game. Some questions I have labeled here, though. What does the efficiency look like for Swift when you go running behind the Eagles offensive line, who we know are a top 5 unit, to the Chicago Bears? What does that look like? Obviously, we know the Chicago Bears have a lot of cap space availability currently, 2 first-round draft picks, so they have a lot of availability to make moves. But currently, as the offensive line stands, we're all going to take the Eagles O-line and run behind as opposed to the Chicago Bears.
For sure.
So that's my first question. My second question. Third team in 3 years. Is it Swift or is it the organization? Who's the issue?
I don't. I mean, you can answer that yourself. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, my whole thing is like,
I thought Swift should stay. Swift was a Philly boy, played well. I mean, you got a chance to get Barkley, so I get it. I'm not disagreeing with the fact, but I'm just saying I thought Swift played well. I thought Swift earned a role in Philadelphia. I don't know what happened. And then we have the injury prone label. We know that DeAndre Swift typically doesn't finish seasons, typically doesn't play full seasons. I think the biggest question about Swift is obviously the efficiency, what it's going to look like. I don't know if I like this one. I'm kind of on the fence. I have him as a running back too. Nah.
It's about he stays the same. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I have him as a top 16 play, I guess.
Not the end of the world. I mean, you could end up in worse situations. Well, debatable. But like you said, they do run the ball a lot, so he has that going for him. Sure, he's got Roshan there and Foreman, but
Foreman's gone. Khalil
Foreman's So yeah, it's just him and Roshan. I don't expect Roshan to vulture too much away from Swift. And they don't have the tush push, so maybe he'll get in the red zone a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
He's going to be a great check. He's going to be a great check down option for Caleb Williams.
If he, sure, sure. I already have my rant, so I can't do that again. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's stay in the North because the North is pretty interesting. Aaron Jones is cut. Josh Jacobs to the Packers, 4 for $48. A lot of money for a running back. A lot of money for a running back. The peripherals, I mean, I think where Aaron Jones made his money was how efficient he was. A, never averaged under 5 yards a carry. Also, B, his receiving usage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. I think there's an option, like when you look at it, I think Jacobs is a volume guy. He's a pure grinder. He tears you down through games. I can't see Josh Jacobs as efficient as Aaron Jones is with the limited amount of touches. Aaron Jones never had a full workload that we were expecting. He doesn't have that 250 carry season. He doesn't have the 50, 60 catch season. He split work, with AJ Dillon, and that kept him fresh. But I like this situation for Jacobs because he's shown us a lot of receiving upside over the last 2 years. I think he's going to be heavily involved in that aspect. And this is his backfield. You don't cut Aaron Jones for this.
Right.
Go pay him $48 million in 4 years. This is his backfield. And this is one of the youngest offenses, NFL teams in the NFL. They are the youngest NFL team. They are building something that I really, really like. And I think this is a great pickup for the Packers. I don't know if I like the contract, but this is a good pickup.
Sure. Yeah. You say, I don't know. I think you touch on the whole mark that Josh Jacobs has consistently hit as far as receiving goes. And you say the same thing about Aaron Jones, but in Jordan Love's first year, full season with the Packers, you saw a significant dip in targets for Aaron Jones. Now, chalk it up, less playing time, sure, but almost cut in half. So I don't think you're going to see as many checkdowns as when the Rodgers was there, when he kind of plays safe with the ball, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, check down when he needed to. I think you lose a little bit of the receiving upside Josh Jacobs had when he was in his prime with the Raiders and Derek Carr. Because you already know Derek Carr's a checkdown king. You saw with Kamara this previous season. So, sure, receiving upside is still there, but I think you see it cut from when he was in his top 5 seasons. And then on top of that, he posted a career low in yards per carry last season. He was under 4.
Sure.
Every other year is over 5. So coming out of his least efficient season yet, definitely an exciting offense. kind of tampering expectations for this. So I'm trying not to get too excited about it, but I like the situation. That being said, Jacobs needs volume.
We also have a comment coming in. Jerry says Jacobs needs volume. He will get it at Green Bay, but is he worth the pay compared to what Jones was giving them? Actually, no, I don't think so.
No.
This is what we covered here: 4 for 48 with over $30 million guaranteed. I haven't even seen the Vikings contract for Aaron Jones.
I don't know.
I really haven't. But they just weren't able to get a restructured deal done. And I'll be honest with you, like I said, Aaron Jones still has the juice. We've seen it. He's never averaged under 5 yards per carry. He's heavily involved in the receiving game. We've seen him do his thing. We saw him in the Dallas Cowboys playoff game too. Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. I don't know. This is a great question. Like you said, Jacobs going to get the volume, but is it worth paying a running back $48 million? We'll find out.
2 years. I think the big thing is like 2 years younger, probably.
But we have learned to never pay running backs.
Well, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but a ton of them just got paid. I don't know that.
But nobody.
I guess they worked because every single one of them within 2 days.
Cap space did go up $30 million this year.
Yeah, but think about let's do like compared to last season, how we felt like we were like waiting for these like running backs to sign. Within 2 days, all the top guys wiped off the board. Shit, we even got guys like Devin Singletary getting contracts with the Giants. Like it's ridiculous this year.
He's one of the most underrated running backs in the league. Durable too. So I don't even want to talk about it. Well, I like Devin Singletary. I don't mind that being a replacement for Barkley. It's obviously not Barkley, but he's very vastly underrated.
Running backs are getting paid now, baby. That's all I'll say. And to that guy's point, no. The difference between Aaron Jones, sure, like he's younger. He might give you a little bit more juice over the next few seasons, but compared to what you would have paid Jones, probably should have just done that, realistically speaking. But hey, this is why I don't run franchises.
I agree with this comment for sure. Now, if this were going into the 2025 draft, nobody's getting paid. We talk about this. The 2025 draft is special.
That's fair.
The running backs are loaded. But these guys are on prove-it deals. Like Derrick Henry's on a 2-year deal. Aaron Jones is on a 1-year deal. Tony Pollard, like he has an out after next year. Like Barkley's on a what? Is he on a 2-year deal or 3?
I think he got 3.
You know what I mean? Like it's not very long. Austin Eckler, like I can't even remember his deal to be honest.
He got 2.
He got a 2. Like, but they probably have outs, easy dead cap cuts. Like this isn't. These guys aren't here for long term.
There are the older backs. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's over. It's over after this for them. Joe Mixon traded to the Texans. I just want to say, guys, from a football standpoint, the Houston Texans are going to be fucking nasty.
They're using their money
in the right spots.
They have tons of it, and they're using it in the right spots.
Very well.
They're going nuts right now. They're doing everything they can to put a winning organization around CJ Stroud already.
And they have to play a number 1 seeded schedule as the number 1 team out of the AFC South. So their schedule is going to be tougher. All number 1 seeded teams are tougher. They won the division last year. Right now, I don't see how they don't repeat.
We look at the additions, and I don't think there's a way.
Yeah.
We still get a draft on the way. You never know what they're going to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring in the Joe Mixon talk. It was either get cut or get traded. He got traded. They actually had cut him, and they rescinded it, and they traded him to the Houston Texans. I just want to say that let's just be honest here. Let's talk about how Devin Singletary fit in this role. Last 9 weeks of the season, he had 300-yard games. He also had 3 running back 1 finishes, and only finished lower than a running back 2 out of the 9 weeks. No true rushing attack in weeks 1 through 9. Dameon Pierce was absolutely horrendous last year. We all know Joe Mixon. He's a volume guy. His yards per carry numbers never looks good. It's not great. So expect Joe Mixon, again, yards per carry numbers to not look great. Yeah. But I don't think there's a drop-off in offense here. I really don't. What I've seen from Stroud, I expect growth in year 2. He didn't have Tank Dell late in the year. Banged up, lost Noah Brown. Nico and Dalton Schultz were his only weapons. His offense is going to be healthy. He adds in a running back who's had 3 straight years of 42-plus catches. And for what they're probably paying Mixon, I can get behind this move.
Yeah. I like it for fantasy. And I think he gets fantasy and real life, and that's kind of rare because I do think that he was very much salvaged by the Texans. Now, if he didn't go to a high offense, I think you see him kind of disappear as far as fantasy goes. Like you said, he touched on it, he needs the volume. He's not a high yards per carry guy, never has been, and won't be late in his career. Let's just be real with ourselves. But that being said, he should get the volume he needs in Houston. He'll be in the red zone plenty of times to make up for it. I consider him a boom or bust running back. I mean, you look at his big weeks and his low weeks, and there's a big difference. But you take those, and there's no movement from Mixon other than he just gets a year older as far as dynasty. But in redraft, you can take him where you were going to take him before.
Yeah. Another running back 2 season from Mixon. Just keep it pushing. That's just what Mixon is going to be. Again, there was no restructuring on the contract, so I can't tell you guys how long he's going to be in Houston. I know he had 1 year left with the Bengals, and they were looking for a payment restructure, and he never committed to it for the 2024 season. That's why he was there in 2023. He did commit to it for that year, but he didn't for this year. I don't know if it's just a 1 year deal and the Bengals are paying it or what it is. I don't know. Aaron Jones. I'm going to be honest with you. I love the player. Still has juice. He showed us that. He played very well. He's never played bad as a Packer. Again, he had the early suspension in his career. Last year was injured. Truly hasn't missed a ton of games, though, to be honest, except for last year. But my question to you, Ryan, what is the identity of the 2024 Minnesota Vikings? What is their identity?
To be honest with you, until we find out if they decide to draft the quarterback or go forward with Sam Darnold, I don't think we can really say yet, to be honest with you. I mean, in my head, I would imagine, right, it's probably heavy passing, which bodes well for Aaron Jones. It does. Kind of see what they did last year. I mean, he's, 29 years old. He'll be 30 in the season. Probably going to see him a lot in the receiving game. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say they're probably heavy pass volume, regardless who their quarterback is. Just with all the weapons they have. I mean, you talk about J.J. Addison and Hawk. It's hard not to try to get them the ball.
Is Aaron Jones a top 20 running back in 2024?
Yeah. I mean, how can you not say he's top 20 when, I mean, you got to account for injuries that happen, guys missing a few games here and there, they drop. Top 20 is pretty achievable for Aaron Jones. What did he finish as last year?
Out of the side of the top there. He was 34.
Oh, okay, then he's probably out then. I didn't know he was that low. Wow.
Well, you got to remember he faced that injury. He missed multiple weeks.
He was at 12.2 per game. That probably puts him solidly inside the top 20 if he played healthy.
That's what I'm saying, though. Again, it's hard for us not to predict that this Minnesota Vikings team could be abysmally bad.
It could be.
It could be abysmally bad. I mean, everybody's getting traded from there. Everybody. They've made additions too, but it's not like anything. If you bring Kirk Cousins back, sign me up. I'm ready to go. This team's exciting.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. Top 20, if healthy all year, he almost has to be top 20 in my opinion. Yeah, the running back landscape isn't pretty, but at the same time, I mean, it's just a question to ask. It is. I mean, I do think it's a genuine question.
Top 20 for sure. If he stays healthy. And I'm, to be honest with you, I'm not really mad if he puts up 12 points per game in Minnesota. I kind of expect to see around that. Plus, he had pretty low usage last year. So, sure.
Last player I want to talk about before we get out of here. Austin Eckler to the Commanders.
This is the one we're going to disagree on the most, I think. I'm not really that big of an Eckler guy, but I'll let you make your case.
All right, so let's talk about the Washington team in general. Number 27 in rushing yards per game last year were the Commanders. Number 25 in points per game scored at 19.4. And the last team in the league in rushing attempts. On top of that, one of the worst offensive line units in the NFL. No debate. Eckler, lowest yards per carry he's ever seen in his career, 3.51 yards per carry. Will never replicate touchdown production like he did in 21 and 22. Not possible. I have some positives. Could be a check down king with a young rookie QB coming into the situation. That's what I see. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see a positive outlook for rushing volume, extreme rushing volume with Bijan Robinson there. He's been earning carries, over 200 carries every year for the last 2 years. On top of that, this team doesn't score a lot. They're not that good. I really think his only path to relevancy is being the check down king there in Washington, because this team's just not good. They're not.
Team's not good. They're going to bring in a rookie, new coaching staff in. So here's my big thing with Washington, right? You say, Bijan Robinson, Antonio Gibson were there, sure. 32nd in rushing attempts, 21 per game. Not good. But previous years before that, 2021, they were averaging 28.1. That's 10th. 2022, 31.6. I think they would like to run the ball if given the opportunity. But they don't have it. Bijan Robinson is their starting running back. But I think on any other roster, any other team in the league right now, is he RB1, realistically speaking?
No, not really.
You bring in Eckler, who is done 100% done with his production he put up with Justin Herbert. I will not deny that. His days of top 5 running back, out the door. No question in my head. But I think there's still a path to success for Eckler. He's never really been a high-volume rushing guy. He doesn't have to be the Commanders. If they can get Drake May in, who's not really – I would imagine the draft too, right? Unless they trade up to get Caleb. But nonetheless, becomes a check-down option for a rookie. And I think he can kind of survive off of that. Like I said, I don't expect top 5, but I don't think there's a world where we can't really see him crack the top 15, to be honest with you.
I'll be honest with you, man. I hate the situation. I hate the player at this point. I think Eckler lost a step. I know he was injured last year too, so I can give a guy like that the benefit of the doubt, especially he's been productive for us for a couple years now, and it's pretty cool to see. He's a big fantasy guy as well, so he gets what we're talking. But he wasn't part of the Chargers plan, and he gets shipped off to this like wasteland. That's what I want to call Washington, is a wasteland. There's nothing good coming out of Washington, and to be honest with you, I can't get behind it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing here is probably touchdown regression.
Whew. Aaron Jones, sure. Eckler.
I mean, I just that's funny. I mean, I'm with Eckler. I think I've stated my points here, but I think that does get very, very close.
I'm gonna go Aaron Jones.
You split on that. That's fine.
I'm gonna go Aaron Jones. I think it's close. I do. Both situations less than ideal. I think one player still has the juice left, and I think the other doesn't. I really don't. I don't see Eckler being that 80, 90 target guy. I don't.
Never know.
I'm just not in on Eckler.
Huh?
I'm just not in on Eckler moving forward.
I don't know. I think he could have landed in worse spots, to be honest.
And I thought his game was gonna age gracefully, due to the fact that obviously we're talking about low rushing volume. Wasn't one of those guys. A lot of his work was done in the receiving game early on, and then he started to add more rushing volume. But I just didn't think he would age like that.
When you think about it, one, coming off injury, you've already touched on that. But two, like, Herbert goes down. Why would you not just focus on Austin Eckler?
I mean, I get it.
Why would you not just say, okay, I'm going to stop Eckler by all means and make Easton stick win football games? And that didn't go great. The offense was abysmal.
Hey, maybe he proves me wrong, bro. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm just stating my case here. I think that I'm not, like I said, he's not going to be top 5 anymore. That's done. I'm not saying. I just think that like you writing him off as like done in fantasy outside top 20 is.
I didn't say outside the
what you
top
have him
20. If
at.
I have Aaron Jones in the top 20, I got to have Eckler.
So, I'm not finished with Eckler.
I know who is going to finish top 5. Bijan Robinson. I do like.
Yeah, he's better in this offense. I don't know what to tell you if he doesn't.
Hey, the Dirty South. Any Falcons fans that are in here, guys? It's been a long time coming.
Before we close out, just start with the Falcons, end with the Falcons. The Achilles injury.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have any effect on Kirk Cousins?
It has to. It has to. Kirk Cousins also didn't tear his Achilles early in the year like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a full year of prep. Aaron Rodgers did this literally on the first quarter of the first game. Aaron Rodgers will be a year out from an Achilles injury, like I said, in September.
Yeah.
Not Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins, I think it's going to take time. And that's why I think going to Atlanta with the offensive line they have is vital. Vital.
Right. Yeah, a little bit concerned. I will say that he's not typically – he's a pocket quarterback. So I think you protect him for the most part. You're good.
Yeah. And I'm – like I said, if he's not ready early on, you don't rush it. You take it slow, man. Desmond Ritter's there. I know we've had our ups and downs with Desmond Ridder, but you know what I mean? You do not rush a $180 million contract. You do not. So, but before we get out of here, Ryan, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, no. If you stuck around with us for the show, we appreciate you per usual. We do this for you guys. Obviously, we have fun doing it. Don't get us wrong, but we do it for the people. We're here for you guys. And got any questions, drop them anytime in live chat. We'll answer them. So if you're here next time, drop a question. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for the support, guys.
So I never tell you this number because you get a little flustered when I tell you this. I do have a comment coming in. Great show. We appreciate it, man. Thank you, Jerry. We really do. It was always fun. You were here. You were active. We appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the points. Again, there's a lot of free agency moves going on. So please, I know we didn't talk about Tony Pollard.
Yeah, we missed some stuff. It's okay.
There's some stuff we were going to miss. Yeah. There was a lot to cover here, but we think we hit the vast majority. You know what I mean? We hit the bread and the butter of this. But like I said, I know I don't tell you this number, but shout out to the 140 people that have watched the whole show with us. Thank you guys. This is a number that we've hit in back-to-back weeks. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We appreciate everything you guys do. Yards per, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Alex. RPO, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Leo. On that note, guys, it's going to end our night, and we are out.